Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Dharma Vishnu Paramahamsa Sarvadikacharya All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Brahma. I'm reading a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the third canto, chapter 25, the glories of devotional service. Text 35. Sankite me Uchiranam Santam Prashana Bhaktra Prasan Shakam Vacham Brahman Vadamati. This is Lord Kapila speaking to his mother. My mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me. Purport. So all I'm going to do is just to read some, and then I'll make some comments. Mayavadis and atheists accept the forms of the deities in the temple of the Lord as idols, but devotees do not worship idols. They directly worship the personality of God in his Archa incarnation. Archa refers to the form which we can worship in our present condition. Actually, in our present state, It is not possible to see God in his spiritual form because our material eyes and senses cannot conceive of a spiritual form. We cannot even see the spiritual form of the individual soul. When a man dies, we cannot see how the spiritual form leaves the body. That is the defect of our material senses. In order to be seen by our material senses, the Supreme Personality of God accepts the favorable form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha, sometimes called the Archa Incarnation, is not different from him. Just as the Supreme Personality of God accepts various incarnations, he takes on forms made out of matter, clay, wood, metal, and jewels. So that's the first paragraph of this purport. I'm going to read the verse again and I'll comment a little on that, see if anyone has any questions. Oh, my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form. With eyes like the rising morning sun, they like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me. So here, it's explaining about the Mayavadis and atheists, comparing the Mayavadis with the atheists. So the Mayavadis, they believe in the oneness of God, but because they're also thinking God has no form, no personality, they're categorized along with the atheists. So they think the forms are idols. So sometimes Indian people would sometimes say the idols because they don't know what idols is, but idols are not deities. Idols are simply some form you just made up. Doesn't have any, it's not a person, it's not anything. It's like worshiping a bottle of Coca-Cola, no difference. So there's a big difference between deities and idols. One time Srila Prabhupada said that the difference between deities and an idol is life. The deities are alive, and now they're not just alive, they're not like they're breathing like we can breathe, but they're fully conscious and they can reciprocate with you. In this verse it says, and they also talk favorably with me. So Krishna can talk to us. Radhika Vallabha can talk to us. So Jagannath can talk to us. Gauranitai can talk to us. Most of us are not pure enough to hear what he's saying, and some of us may sometimes be able to hear what he says. It's very wonderful that the deities are kind enough to talk to us and we can actually hear them. So when you're worshiping the deities, you're directly worshiping the personality of Godhead. There's no difference. Just like the holy name is not different from Krishna. When you say Krishna and Krishna himself are not different. He's not different from his name. He's absolute. Nature of the absolute. He's not different with anything in relationship to him. He's not different than his form, his personality, his pastimes, his entourage. This is the absolute truth. So he's not different from his form. So this form is a bona fide form. And Krishna is there. So I was thinking just today would be a good day because everyone is having an opportunity to actually come and not just have darshan of Radhika Vallabha, but Jagannath Baladev, Padre Devi, Rishi Gauranitai, not just have darshan, but also can have kirtan for their pleasure. And we can sit for a longer period of time and have darshan. So this is a very special day. And of course, the pandemic, created such havoc in the whole world. And now things are starting to slowly get back to normal. So we have to really see that the deity is not different from Krishna. So in our present state, it's not possible to see God in his spiritual form because we're so contaminated. I remember once someone asked Srila Prabhupada, can you see God? And Srila Prabhupada answered, if I lied to you, would you believe me? And he said, yes. And then Prabhupada said, yes, I've seen God. But normally, if, whatever you say, you can just think, oh, he's lying if I say this or say that. Prabhupada has seen God. But he's also seen the deity. One time someone asked him another thing, have you seen God? And he was looking at the deity. And he said, yes, but you're blocking my view. So Prabhupada gives the example, we cannot even see the spiritual form of the individual soul. There's everyone is an individual soul. So there's 10, 15 individual souls that we can see. They have bodies. We can see their bodies, but we can't even see the soul. So Prabhupada's kind of saying that this should be even easier to see. You can't even see the soul. How are you going to see God? You can't even see the little part and parcel. Not the whole thing, but even the little part and parcel you can't see. And Prabhupada gives example, when a man dies, we cannot see how the spiritual form leaves the body. That is the defect of our material senses. In order to be seen by our material senses, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts a favorable form, which is called Archa Vigraha, so we can see. Okay, does anyone have any? We're going to go little by little, because I know when I'm hearing a class, I have questions, and then by the time the end of the class comes, I don't even remember what they were anymore. So does anyone have any questions before we go too far of what I said? Maybe? Right. Right. Man dies, we cannot see how the spiritual form leaves the body. It would be nice if we could. Grandfather passes away and then you see a little gopi. Wow. We had a feminine side. Okay. No, any other questions or comments? That was really a comment. Okay. There are many shastric injunctions which give instructions for carving forms of the Lord. So this is not just a whimsical thing. You just carve anything, you make anything. Like in the Bible, they made a cow and they began worshiping the cow. I think it was a cow. Could have been a bull. I don't know. This was many, many, many years ago. I saw some movie about this. And then Moses came. What? Golden calf. Yeah, cow would have been a lot more gold. So they made a golden calf and they worshipped it. And then God came and did something. He smited them all. Yeah, but not as God. Cow's not God. What? Yes, you can worship them. But you don't worship them as God. Yeah, Krishna likes cows. So you can worship them in relationship to Krishna. Same with the Brahmins in relationship to Krishna, how much they know Krishna or even Brahman. So there's specific injunctions on how to carve a form of the Lord, what the Lord looks like, and these things. So it has to be done according to Shastra, not your imagination. Well, I think God must, have this or that. It's not what you think, it's what it is. So these forms are not material. If God is all pervading, then he is also in the material elements. There is no doubt about it. But the atheists think otherwise. Although they preach that everything is God, it's the Mayavadis, When they go to the temple and see the form of the Lord, they deny that he is God. According to their own theory, everything is God. Then why is the deity not God? Actually, they have no conception of God. This happened one time, a little similar, because when Prabhupada was here, there was a lot of impersonalists. A lot of people thought they were God. I'm God, you're God, we're all God. So one time Prabhupada came and everyone is bowing down to Prabhupada. And she's saying, why are you bowing down to him? We're all God. Why are you bowing down to him? So he said, if we're all God, then why not bow down to me? That philosophy is not practical. Even at MIT, when Prabhupada was here, he grabbed one of the students who was preaching this Mayavad. He says, why don't you wear a cotton swab instead of a cotton shirt? He picked his shirt like that. If it's all one, he said, if it's all one, why do you wear a cotton shirt instead of a cotton swab? Why don't you just wear a cotton swab? It's all one. It's not all one. The philosophy is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, inconceivably, simultaneously one and different. There is the oneness, because everything ultimately is Krishna or Krishna's energy, but there's simultaneously a difference. There's a difference between Krishna and his energies. And at the same time, there's also the same, so it's inconceivable. But it's not that they're just the same. There's also this difference. So, although they preach, according to their own theory, everything is God. Then why is the deity not God? Actually, they have no conception of God. The devotee's vision, however, is different. Their vision is smeared with love of God. As soon as they see the Lord in his different forms, the devotees become saturated with love, for they do not find any difference between the Lord and his form in the temple, as do the atheists. So the devotees see Krishna, see Radha Gopi Vallabha, and they see that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They don't see a difference. It's not like through the deities I can get to Krishna. Krishna is the deity of Krishna. So the smiling face of the deity in the temple is beheld by the devotees as transcendental and spiritual, and the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. It is the duty of the spiritual master to teach how to decorate the deity in the temple, how to cleanse the temple, and how to worship the deity. There are different procedures and rules and regulations which are followed in the temple of Vishnu. The devotees go there and see the deity, the Vigraha, and spiritually enjoy the form because all of the deities are benevolent. The devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances, the deity also gives answers. This is really nice. The devotees express their minds before the deity, and in many instances, the deity also gives answers. I'll tell one story. When I was a newer devotee in the early 72, maybe January, February 72. I was a treasurer here in Boston, and which was a nice policy we had at that time, is I'm the treasurer, and it's all Radha Gopi Vallabhas. So once a week I had to report to Radha Gopi Vallabha and tell them what's happening in the treasury. We had very, very little money in those days. But one week I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Something was wrong, didn't balance. But I had to go and talk to Radha Gopi Vallabha. I spent probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, trying to figure out what is wrong. Couldn't figure it out. So then I went in front of Radha Gopi Vallabha, and I told them a few things, and I said I don't understand, but it doesn't balance. I'm not sure why. And then immediately they showed me what was wrong. And I spent so much time trying to look, and immediately when I talked to them, it's like they didn't come off the altar and show me. They didn't talk to me like I'm talking now, but somehow they let me know what my mistake was. And then I said, oh, yeah. And of course, everything balanced right after that. So you should have a personal relationship with the deities. Whether they talk back to you or they communicate back to you in any way or not, doesn't matter. You should start practicing talking to the deities as a person, revealing your mind. Even tells you first you're supposed to glorify Krishna. First you talk to him, tell him that you can read some verses, tell him the greatness of Krishna, how wonderful he is. He looks so nice, beautiful clothes he has, whatever. But you glorify not just Krishna, any great person. If you approach a great person, you're supposed to first glorify them. And then you can ask for something. But you shouldn't even ask Krishna for anything, not material. You can ask Krishna for spiritual things. Help me advance spiritually, help me become more renounced, help me to give up sense gratification. Those are all fine. But not like help me to get a lot of money. Waste your time. There's another verse with Dhruva about like a person who satisfies a king. He does so much to satisfy a king, and the king wants to give him anything, and he asks for some husk rice in the husk, I think, something like that. So if you go to the king, he can give you anything, and that's what you ask for. It's like even with Bali Maharaj and Vamanadev. Vamanadev asked for 3 steps of land according to his own measurement of his foot. And Bali said, why are you asking for that? I can give you a whole planet. I can give you princess. I can give you anything. Why don't you ask for more? He said, no, I'm not satisfied with 3 steps. Of course, his steps are pretty big steps. But the point is, if you see somebody who can give you something great, you don't ask for a handful of ashes or some husked rice. So similarly, if you go into Krishna, these material things are useless. They're useless because their value is like for just an instant in the whole scope of eternal time. So if you're going to go, ask for something that you're going to get that's really going to help you. And that's the only thing that's really going to help you is something spiritually. So you should approach the deity and you can talk to the deity. Where did I go? I think I lost my place. Well, they preach that everything is God. I read that. According to their own theory, again. As soon as they see the Lord in his different forms, this is the devotee, different forms becomes saturated with love, for they do not find any difference between the Lord and his form in the temple, as do the atheists. The smiling face of the deity in the temple is beheld by the devotee as transcendental and spiritual, and the decoration of the body of the Lord is very much appreciated by the devotees. It is the duty of the spiritual master to teach how to decorate the deity in the temple, how to cleanse the temple, and how to worship the deity. There are different procedures and rules and regulations which are followed in temples of Vishnu. The devotees go there and see the deity, the Vigraha, and spiritually enjoy the form because all of the devotees are benevolent. The devotees express their minds before the deity. And in many instances, the deity also gives answers. So he's not going to always give answers, but sometimes he will. But one must be very elevated must be a very elevated devotee in order to be able to speak with the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the Lord informs the devotee through dreams. These exchanges of feelings between the deity and the devotee are not understandable by atheists, but actually the devotee enjoys them. Kapila Muni is explaining how the devotees see the decorated body and face of the deity and how they speak with him in devotional service. Read the verse again. Oh, my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me. So it's just so nice to have wonderful deities. Radha Gopi Ballava, this year is 50th year. They were installed. That's the year I also moved into the Boston Temple. They were already installed a few months before I moved in. But so this is my 50th years of living in the temple. And this is Radha Gopi Ballava's 50th year of showering their mercy to anyone who desires. And that's for everyone, and anyone can experience their desire. I mean, their mercy by surrendering. As you surrender unto me, I reward you accordingly. So before I go on with anything else, does anyone have any questions? We'll start with questions first.
Hare Krishna.
What?
Hare Krishna, this is Chattamai Devi Dasi.
This is when the deities were installed. There was a temple here before the Radha Gopi Ballava were installed. Not here. There was in several different places. They were installed in Alston, 40 or sometimes 38 North Beacon Street in Alston. That's where I joined. And that's where the Radha Gopi Ballava were installed. And the date's coming up soon. Does anyone know the exact date? I don't ask it like a question. I don't know. August 8th. That's not very far off. So they're going to be a big celebration then. I'm definitely going to come up then. Oh wow, wonderful. So that's August 8th. Everyone should try to come. I'm not sure what the restrictions are going to be at that time. Right now, we certainly have plenty more room. I don't know how many people said they were coming, but apparently people haven't. The fireworks are not at this time. I don't think that was a good guess. Yeah, they might want to do that afterwards. First, let me go and get Krishna's blessings so I can see a really good fireworks show. So, no, any comments? Yeah.
I thought it was 95. Was it just 45 deities and 95 blended happened at the first time?
No. Gornitai deities were the last deities that came into ISKCON. If there were deities, it may have been the little Radha and Krishna deities. Gornitai deities weren't here. So I don't think they were here the whole time I was here. I was here for 3 years. There was no Gornitai deities. But I don't think there was Gornitai deities. I don't know if they were anywhere in the movement. The Radha and Krishna and Jagannath, those deities were a lot of places. But Gornitai came later. We had Jagannath, and also very big Jagannath. And then they actually Somadas, I think, went on a boat because you're supposed to throw them in the ocean, and they took out a motorboat or a rowboat or something, They put weights on it or something and they threw them out in the ocean or the bay or I don't know exactly where. But one girl came here one time and she says, I have one of those. We found it on the beach or something. And Subhadra, she got Subhadra. And you're gonna have to ask Somadas to get more details on that. Yes. No, you don't throw them away. This is part. We don't speculate and just do things whimsically. Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, that's what they do. Every I think 12 years they get other deities carved and they take the old deities and they bring them out into the ocean. So it's a process that we follow. Generally, we don't do it like that every 12 years, but if the deities get like broken up because they're made out of wood and they can deteriorate, I don't know how exactly they're made and stuff. So if you can't repair them, then that's what you have to do, I guess. Yeah. Yes. Oh, questions online. Okay. Can you say who they're from?
Paramatma Mataji. So, can we hear about the history of the altar? When was the altar installed? The way we see it now. In old pictures, it looks different without the wooden altar.
No, before I left, it wasn't. We didn't even have this building. We're just getting this building in 74. So, but Niranjana Swami, I think he had something to do with building this altar. I think he helped build it, and we could find out from him more about that. I don't know myself. You have some answer? Yes, he bought the marble. Yeah. This compress wasn't here. They were here. No, you're getting things mixed up because I don't think they didn't buy that building when they first got this building. They got that building after. Maybe paid for it, but not then. Not when they first got this building. That's what I said, BI. Oh. No. Okay, I had enough. Okay, you have to leave.
I had stories about that when you first got Bhakti when I was here in South Buddha. Bhakti Swami. Buddha sometimes helped them out. They were preparing for the first 77 Vrindavan autograph. The original materials, it always says the Bombay office. They do kind of academic stuff. The founders of the
Also, I don't think that was the right reason why we didn't get the restaurant, because the president didn't think he can handle it. There was more to it than that.
So the second question is from Chatamai Mataji. How to elevate oneself to the point of being able to converse with the deities? Thank you for your insights, dear Pyari.
So I mean, I think just be very simple, and straightforward and just start talking to the deities. And eventually, don't expect that they're going to talk back, but eventually, they may talk back. And don't get upset if they don't. I'm not talking to you anymore. I got to do all the talking. You don't say anything. But you just reveal your mind in confidence. You reveal your heart. Just be genuine. And I'm sure that they will eventually reciprocate. Yes. I don't understand. Nobody here. Something about Gorny Thai, but I didn't hear it. I don't think so. I don't think it's true. I don't know who said it. They don't look anything like all the Gorny Thais on Radha Damodar. They're pretty much the same size. So what deities were they? What bus were they on? Anyway, I maybe. It's possible. Gorny Thai that are in Hartford were Gorny Thai for the Radha Damodar bus that they were going to get another bus and they never installed them. That's the Gorny Thai in Hartford. And I think you had a Gorny Thai here even before that time. But anyway, I don't know. We can ask who was here when Gorny Thai came. Niranjana Swami would know. Panamali, did you ask Niranjana Swami about Gorny Thai? Yes, what? Okay, we'll settle for that. Anyway, I can try to find out. Right, I'm not positive about that. I'm not saying he didn't say it. I'm just not positive that's where they came. Yes. Wait, I can't hear you. Right. I heard some of what you said. I didn't hear. I heard that Narendra Swami was fixing the temple because Prabhupada was coming. That I know, but I didn't hear the rest of what you said.
Yeah, well, it looks like this is done for a while. It looks like.
Well, that Narendra Swami can answer also. Yeah, he's definitely. I was on Radha Damodar from the beginning to the end, but I was here for 3 to 4 years before that. 75. Okay. That's what I thought. I thought that from my understanding, he did it when they first got the building. Before they could move in, they had to have the altar. So that's when Narendra Swami did it. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
From Anil, Paramatma, Mataji, sorry, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for a beautiful class, Pyari Pro. How is reciprocation with deities different from reciprocation with Paramatma? How does deity worship help us realize Bhagavan? Thank you.
Well, first of all, Paramatma, let's see. Vedanti tattva vidas tattvam eshganam advayam brahmiti paramatmiti bhagavaniti shabhyate. So there's three different understandings of the absolute truth: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the deities would be more of the Bhagavan understanding of the absolute truth, and it's the highest understanding. So if you can certainly, Super Soul can communicate to you the same way the deities can communicate to you. So how is one better than the other? I mean, when I personally, if I'm praying, I generally don't pray to the Super Soul. I would pray to Krishna, and even meditating, I would think of possibly a form of the deities when I'm praying. So, and then when I get some response, if I get some response, I see it as coming from Krishna, not from Paramatma. Of course, Krishna can be Paramatma too. You know, the deities can be in your heart. So if you're seeing the deities in your heart because you worship them, you know, externally, I just find that is a more personal way. There's people sometimes who meditate and they get to see Paramatma in their heart. And there's a picture in the Bhagavad Gita of the devotee who is worshiping the deities, doing everything. And then there's the person meditating. And then when the person who's meditating realizes Paramatma in the heart, then he does the same thing the devotees do. He starts chanting Hare Krishna, he starts worshiping the deities. So why go to Paramatma? You can directly start the process by just serving the deities personally. And you'll get purified, and then you'll do the same thing. Like when you go back to the spiritual world, no one is sitting down meditating on Paramatma. Everyone's just engaged in serving Krishna. So he's here in this form so we can serve him. They make so many offerings every single day. They have kirtans, they chant for him. They do all of this for his pleasure. And then when they go back to the spiritual world, they do the same exact thing. Whereas if you're worshiping Paramatma, it's not the same. But if you can actually, you know, for the Super Soul, we're not pure enough to hear what the Super Soul is telling us. That's why we get a guru, because the guru is the external representative of the Super Soul. The guru is telling you what the Super Soul in your heart is telling you, a bona fide guru. He's telling you the same thing. So that's why you need a guru. So you can ask your guru. Certainly asking your guru something is, you can ask Krishna, the form of the deities, you can ask your guru. If you ask your guru, you probably got a better chance of understanding the answer, hearing the answer at least. So the whole point is you know, Chaitya Guru is, you know, it's the Lord in the heart. One time, devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, this was before he was actually on his deathbed, which he was for months. But they asked Srila Prabhupada, when you pass away, what do we do then? Do we just listen to Super Soul in our heart? Because he's telling us all what to do. And Prabhupada said, are you pure? Because if you're not pure, you're not going to know what Super Soul is telling you. And sometimes you're listening to Super Soul in your heart, or you think you are, and you're listening to your mind. You know, so it's not easy. That's why you need the external representative. So the only way you really know what Super Soul in your heart is telling you if you're completely pure. But the spiritual master The bona fide spiritual master, he can tell you what super soul in your heart is telling you. Srila Prabhupada is telling all of us. And that's why he wrote so many books, and he's telling us all these things. In other words, he's telling everyone. There may be some specific thing he's telling you at a certain time, but in general, he's telling you, chant Hare Krishna, chant so many rounds a day, follow these regulated principles. I just read today where someone who's saying, people complain that we're too austere. And he says, well, how are you austere? Are you hungry? Are you starving? Where's the austerity? And he mentions even, and Prabhupada says, illicit sex. You don't say no sex, just no illicit sex. He said, how is it austere? What's so austere? And he said, well, you got to get up early in the morning. And Prabhupada says, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy and wise. He said, this is a fact. It's actually a good thing to do. What's so austere? It's austere to get up early in the morning when you go to bed late at night. But if you go to bed early, you can get up early. And Prabhupada's just talking about, so what's the big austerity? So we're listening to the spiritual master, but everything he has said is that we need to know is in his books. We don't need to know anything more than that to go back home, back to Godhead. And we can become perfectly pure. We can even get to the point where we can hear super soul in the heart, and we can converse with the deities. One time a devotee told Srila Prabhupada that when I look at these pictures, they actually come to life. I can see they're real, because Prabhupada said they're windows to the spiritual world. He said, I can see them. And Prabhupada said, that is first class. But telling about it, that's 10th class. What's time? Right now? Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know you were just giving me the signal. Okay. I had a lot more to read. I didn't think you were going to have so many questions, but that's fine. I'm glad people had questions. Anyway, I hope I answered their questions. There were little tricky questions there. Anyway, let's offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. See your article, Prabhupada.
Kindly dance in the stage in where you are. Please maintain social distance. Thank you. Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami